Yes, I made this jacket myself, and welcome back to the Jake Monroe Show, where today we're going to be delving further into the goth subculture as it is represented on the internet. You guys excited? I know I am not. While I've been blowing up over on Instagram for saying the exact same stuff as I have here, let's keep going with the same shtick until YouTube twigs on that I'm a chaotic gothic genius. Chaotic neutral? Where would I fall? What do you guys think? But yes, goth guys! Oh, the absolute lifeblood of the gothic subculture, responsible for the vast majority of the music, and yet on the receiving end of almost none of the credit. But that ends with me. Saying that though, not every goth guy is based, and you'll get your day. You all will. But until then, let chance guide my reactions this day. There's not a lot male goth representation on Instagram or TikTok. Quite frankly, I don't think the goth matriarch will allow this to happen. Seriously, by me merely existing, I piss them off. They don't like me being this big. They don't like me being this influential. They don't like me being this masculine. But look what I found here. Nobody wants a gothic boyfriend. Until the makeup comes off. Do you know what? This only works for chicks. For dudes, I think honestly we do look better with it off. For example, here's what I look like with makeup off. Yeah, gilding the lily indeed. Yeah, petition for more high-effort alternative men. I'd sign that petition if the objectification of masculinity wasn't such a hot topic these days. Seriously, the scrutiny for men to continue being men while also being derided and degraded by society is unbelievable that we live in such a duality without a hint of irony. Also, this is Merlin Storm. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that writes some pretty decent Gen Z goth music. I think I've spoken to him before. There does need to be more emphasis, more exposure for high-effort goth men out there. But I think, and this is my biggest problem with the female goth community, I think the biggest problem is it's not enough just to look cool, dress cool, and all that kind of stuff. In today's day and age, you have to have something to offer. You have to pick a side, so to speak, especially when you have things like the Purity Brigade going around all these rising stars and throwing out their morality tests, phrases like trans rights. Do you remember that? You had to say trans rights, and then you were deemed okay and safe and allowed to be famous, and now it's Free Palestine. You have to say that now. That's like the phrase you need to say so that people can gauge your morality, and therefore if they can allow themselves to support you. Can't remember what it was before that, but these kind of phrases do float around. And the flags that are practically dry humped in all of these artist live performance stages, they keep changing. First it was the trans flag, now it's the Palestinian flag, and then it's going to change to something else. And these are all things that people are, especially in the goth community, considering how it's been hijacked to be partisan, but these are all things that need to be challenged. You need to have your own convictions, your own opinions, stand your ground. I know the minority is extremely loud on this, or I guess roughly majority of the goth enthusiasts, but the loudest people are usually the wrongest people. It's actually quite embarrassing how you can just be wrong, really loud. It's hilarious. While I like to maintain, personally, a political stance on things because I feel like we should all, given the opportunities that have been provided to us through social media, express our beliefs as human beings, as individuals living in a society that still has democracy. We are now able to shape, with our voices, our collective efforts, the public perception of political parties, events, organizations, various things like that. And I don't think a safe space to express your politics should be exclusive to one specific side. Both sides should be allowed to very loudly proclaim what they believe in. However, I don't think any of that stuff has any intrinsic connection with the goth subculture. We should all be able to do this regardless of what our political beliefs are. Now, you can be goth and political, but goth itself is not. In fact, having read up enough about the subculture myself, I've come to the conclusion that goth is actually an escape from such things. And while some people do find their way into goth through politics, that's not the defining factor for goth, and therefore is not the definition of it. And I would appreciate those who do find their way into goth through the politics to not then assume everyone else should follow their own politics in order to partake in the goth subculture. How unbelievably arrogant and narcissistic to assume, to insist that everyone believe and think the way you do. That is the antithesis of goth. It's very easy not to do it. To revert back to my main original point, I would implore my fellow high-effort goth boys out there to, more than just look good, you have to sound good. In the sense that, be interesting, share your thoughts and your ideas and your ideals, your beliefs, your opinions, more than anything. Yes, it is super scary, especially if you've got a contradictory opinion to the vast majority of idiot Californians. And I feel like this seems to be the deterrent, the ultimate deterrent for any other high-effort goth man approaching this kind of content creation, approaching this level of influence, or at least this kind of influence. They may potentially be afraid of sharing an opinion that the vast majority of angry liberal goth chicks don't agree with. I'm using the word liberal synonymously here. Just know, I'm right here to back you up. That's what I'm doing here. I'm creating a precedent, a platform that we can firmly plant our feet in and share our opinions from, with stable footing. Trust me, there's a hellfire coming, and I think I'm going to be at the forefront of it. If you don't think I'm a nuisance now, give it time. I'm actually swiping through this, and it's still, I typed in goth guy, it's still goth chicks. That's how many girls are in this, man. Look, goth guy. I typed in goth guy, it's all chicks. How is this happening? There really is not any goth guys here. Really, there isn't. Are there so few? No, I'm going to use that liberal logic actually against them. They've always been there. They've just been too afraid to come out and share their opinions. Does that sound familiar? It should. I think there are way more politically contradictory to the status quo of current goth, or modern goth, than people are actually aware of. I think there's way more goth guys out there who want to put the makeup on, who want to say what they want to say, who want to have their own convictions and their own opinions and fight for what they believe in and express their interest in the goth subculture. But because they're not far leftist lunatics, they're afraid of sharing something that doesn't fully align with these ideologies, because we all know there is no room for nuance in leftist ideology. It's authoritarian, it's totalitarian, fully agree or die, lose literally any identity that you've ever had because we will take it from you. You are not goth. You do not get to speak for us. Do these phrases sound familiar? They very quickly love to try and take things away from you, assuming it's theirs when it's not. I've already explained multiple times, geographically speaking, chronologically speaking, subcultures are not theirs. Even politically speaking, it's not theirs. And even if it was, there's still nothing any of these clowns, I get the irony, are able to actually do to exclude people from these subcultures. I can't believe we are arguing with leftists about trying to be more inclusive. Do they not hear themselves? Guys, seriously, I'm not trying to run a monopoly on this thing. The loudmouth nuisance goth guy with a masculine energy surrounding him. I'm not trying to make this exclusive to myself. Please, like, rise up. Create your own channels, share your opinions, and say it proudly. That's the most goth thing you could possibly do. There is nothing goth about finding out what the accepted opinions are about the modern version of the subculture and then just blindly agreeing with it so that you can be a part of it. There's nothing goth about doing that. How very unpunk of you. You could also go on to say that there's nothing really goth about starting a modern goth band that sounds like the 80s goth bands because you assume that that's what goth is supposed to sound like. Except whenever these bands were originally making their sound in the early 80s, late 70s, they were just trying to do something different from everybody else. So by making a goth band in the modern age that sounds like a late 70s, early 80s post-punk gothic rock band, you are actually just an imitator. There's nothing original about you. It's actually quite un-goth, I think. The Cure still sound like that because they're the ones that made the sound in the first place. I'm sure they would encourage everyone to make their own sound. Stop imitating. It's just food for thought. I'm deeply disappointed that we're not more goth fellas here. In fact, the one goth guy, or the two goth guys we actually reacted to today, have already been in my videos before, because it's only them two doing it. And I don't know if these goth guys are aware of me. However, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I am aware of them, and I support them. Even if they don't support me. Do you see how that goes? Do you see how easy that is? Even if they don't agree with all the things that I say, it doesn't matter. I don't need them to. My beliefs do not require them to. My beliefs and my opinions can stand perfectly fine on their own without anyone else having to prop them up for me. Cool conviction. You should try it, actually. I'm curious as to how many of these leftist ideologues would maintain their ideologies in the face of being the vast minority in the sea of an aggressive opposition. Do you think maybe they're just maintaining these beliefs purely because it's the most accepted political ideology to have in this subculture? Do you think if maybe there was a little bit of pressure applied, they'd drop them like hotcakes? If that's what the goth subculture required them to do you think they would? I think we're about to find out, actually. Yes, liberals and leftists are a stubborn bunch, but goths are also, at the moment, susceptible to trend hopping, as we've seen, observably, over the last, Jesus Christ, like how long have I been doing this? 6 years? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I was really hoping this was going to be a different video, but then it didn't end up happening, so I had to make this video, but I feel like this video actually did serve its purpose. I actually feel quite proud of this video. This is your resident goth chick agitator signing out. I'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye. Not doing the Shane Dawson thing anymore. Seriously, that's where I got it from. I was doing a vlog like 8 years ago. Didn't know how to end a video. I was watching Shane Dawson at the time, and I just put my hand over the lens. That's where I got it from. Later.